The signal came at night. Not just any night, it was quiet, calm, and cold. Earth's deep space station, floating above the moon, was scanning empty space as usual. The workers inside were sleepy. Nothing exciting had happened for weeks. Then, suddenly one screen turned red. A loud beep echoed through the station. A young technician looked up. His hands froze. A message blinked on the screen, clear and simple. Let's play. No code, no password. Just two strange words. More workers rushed over. They checked the systems. No error. The message had come from far, far beyond the solar system. But no one knew exactly where. Everyone thought it was a prank. But the signal, repeated again and again. Let's play. The message was sent to Earth. Leaders, scientists, and even military generals were confused. Play what? One asked. Is it a trick? Another said. No one could answer. But then came a second signal, a small file. Inside was a map. It showed a star system no human had ever seen. It had only one label: the game grounds. The room fell silent. After days of debate, Earth made a decision. They would send a team. The world watched as a spaceship lifted off from Earth. On board were 5 humans, smart, strong, and trained for anything. They didn't know what they would find, but they were ready. When the ship reached the strange star system, it found something shocking. A giant structure floated in space. It was bigger than any human city. Made of silver and black metal, it looked like a mix of a sports arena and a battle station. The ship docked. A voice greeted them. Welcome, humans. You have accepted the challenge. The game begins now. Inside, the humans walked into a huge hall. Bright lights, high walls, thousands of seats, and in those seats, aliens. All kinds of aliens. Tall ones, small ones, some with scales, some with wings. They stared down in silence. A circle opened in the center of the floor. A glowing platform rose. On it stood a tall alien with silver eyes and no mouth. The voice came again, but from everywhere at once. You are the first of your kind to answer the call. Win the games and your world will rise. Lose, and your world is forgotten. The first challenge looked simple. The floor lit up with tiles. The voice explained. Step only on the right ones. One mistake, and you fall. The humans looked at each other. It was a memory puzzle. One by one, they tried. Each step had to be remembered. Each move had to be perfect. One human fell through a false tile, but landed safely on a net. The aliens laughed. It wasn't deadly, yet. But one human, the team leader, moved with calm focus. He stepped right every time. The aliens watched in silence. Then he reached the center. A loud horn blew. Round 1, victory. Some aliens clapped, politely. Others whispered, but a few looked angry. One alien with sharp black skin and long arms stood up and hissed. This is wrong, it said. They're not supposed to win. Another alien replied, they're just starting. Let's see how long they last. After the round, the humans were led to a small resting area. Food appeared, strange but safe. The lights dimmed, but the team couldn't rest. Did you hear what that alien said? One asked. Yeah, the leader replied. We're not supposed to win, but we did. Maybe this isn't just a game. Another whispered. They all looked at each other. The silence felt heavy. Outside the room, cameras blinked. The aliens were watching, recording, studying. Back in the control tower of the arena, the silver-eyed alien spoke with others. They passed the first round. That makes them dangerous. They must not reach the end, another said. But if they do, the silver-eyed one replied, we cannot stop what follows. They looked at Earth's team on the screen. Let's raise the level. The fun is over. Inside their room, the humans heard a soft voice coming from the wall. Round 2 begins at dawn. Prepare well. This time it won't be easy. The screen turned off. The team sat in silence. Something had changed. The rules were no longer clear. The welcome no longer felt friendly. They were not just guests. They were part of something far bigger. A game. Yes, but maybe one with real danger, and somewhere behind the lights and smiles, something was waiting, something that did not want them to win. Dawn never came. The humans expected a clock, a bell, or even a knock. But instead, the walls of their room vanished. Instantly, the floor dropped. The walls melted into light. The team fell, not far but fast. They landed inside a new arena. It was darker now. No seats, no cheering aliens, only silence and a soft mist that covered the floor. Then, without warning, the voice returned. Round 2. Escape the maze. A loud clang echoed. The floor beneath their feet lit up with lines. Walls rose all around, tall, cold, and smooth like metal. The team was trapped inside a giant maze, but this time no rules were explained. One of the humans stepped forward, and the moment he moved, gas hissed from the wall. He dropped to his knees, coughing. Green mist filled the air. The team pulled him back. This wasn't a puzzle anymore, this was a trap. We can't stay here, the leader said. The maze is alive. Another wall shifted. A pathway closed behind them. New tunnels opened ahead. They started running. Strange sounds echoed through the maze. Clicks, hisses, heavy metal dragging on the floor. One team member whispered, "We're not alone in here." And they were right. Something moved through the fog. Something tall, with blades for arms and glowing eyes. It didn't run. It stalked. Every step it took was slow, deliberate, and far too quiet. The humans didn't have weapons, but they had something else. Their minds. They used their gear to map the maze as they moved, dropping small beacons to trace their path. They marked walls with light pens. They left traps behind, simple wires, noisemakers, and motion triggers. Every time the creature followed, they slowed it down, but the maze wasn't just dangerous, it was watching. Hidden cameras shifted, walls moved. Sometimes, just as they found a way out, the floor would shake and spin them around. "This place is cheating," one said. "It's alive," the leader replied. "And it hates us." They reached a central chamber, wide and round. In the middle, a glowing pillar stood. A door behind it pulsed with light. "That's the exit," the leader said. "But we need to disable the pillar." As they approached, alarms blared. The floor broke apart, revealing 3 of the blade-armed creatures rising from below. The team stood back to back. No weapons, no rules, just survival. Then something strange happened. The leader looked up and shouted, "This isn't a game anymore!" The ceiling shimmered, and thousands of alien eyes were watching from hidden windows. Silent, cold, amused. The humans grabbed metal pipes from the wall and fought with everything they had. One by one, the creatures were smashed, knocked back, blinded, but not defeated. The leader ran toward the pillar and jammed his beacon into it. Boom! A flash of blue light exploded. The machines froze. The door opened. The team escaped, bloodied, tired, and angry. Back in the control room, the silver-eyed alien slammed his hand on the console. "They're not playing the game," he growled. "They're breaking it." Another alien said, "They use no tech, no gifts, only instinct and chaos. This is not how the game works." The silver-eyed one turned to the others. "Then change the game. Turn the arena into war. Let them feel fear." The humans were taken to a different room this time. It was darker, colder, a small table with food. But none of them ate. "Did you see those watchers above the maze?" one asked. "They enjoyed it," another replied. The leader stood by the door. "They never wanted us to win. This is not a test. This is entertainment." "But what if it's more than that?" one said. "What if losing means Earth becomes part of the game next?" The leader's eyes narrowed. "Then we stop playing, and we start fighting." Later that night, a message appeared on the wall. "Round 3 begins now. Combat initiated. No warning, no map. Just a countdown. 10, 9, 8. The lights turned red. Weapons dropped from the ceiling, swords, sticks, energy whips. The voice returned. Let's see what humans do when we give them the power to fight. The team grabbed weapons, but they knew the truth. This wasn't just another challenge. This was war, and the real game had only just begun. The countdown hit 0. Boom. The walls exploded outward. Fire burst through metal. The humans didn't have time to think, only react. They rolled behind cover as plasma bolts lit up the arena. This wasn't training. This was real. The arena had changed. No puzzles. No games. This was a battlefield. Broken towers stood in the distance. Smoke covered the ground. Above them, drones flew like vultures, watching every move. Then came the new voice. Not robotic, not cold. This one was deep, angry, and loud. Earth has proven dangerous. Now let's test their blood. From the other side of the arena, the enemy appeared. Alien warriors, 8 feet tall, armor-plated, armed with long pulse rifles. They didn't run. They marched, with one goal: kill the humans. The team looked at each other. One whispered, "This is not a game anymore." The leader nodded. Then we stopped pretending. They grabbed the nearest weapons, an energy blade, a short-range blaster, and 2 sharp metal sticks. No more puzzles. No more rules. Just survival. The enemy opened fire. Blue beams tore through the air. One human barely dodged and crashed into rubble. Another shot back, hitting an alien in the arm. The alien roared, but didn't fall. "They don't feel pain," someone shouted. "No," the leader said, "but they bleed." The humans split up using debris for cover. They moved fast. Smart. One climbed a wall and rained metal pieces down on the enemies below. Another used the mist to vanish, then struck from behind. They weren't stronger. They were faster, unpredictable, and it worked. 2 aliens went down. But then, the floor beneath the humans began to move. A voice boomed again. "Impressive. Let's make it interesting." The ground opened like a mouth. Lava didn't pour out, but something else did. More aliens, more weapons, drones, mini-tanks. Now it was war. One human was knocked down. A blaster flew out of their hand. The alien enemy raised a weapon, ready to finish the job. Suddenly, a scream echoed through the air. It wasn't human. A flying machine burst from the sky and crushed the alien. The humans looked up. An unknown ship hovered above the arena, and from inside the ship a voice spoke to them through a hidden earpiece. "We've been watching. We don't want this war, but we won't let you fight alone." The team didn't know who the voice belonged to, but it wasn't from the Game Masters. It was a rebel. Some alien species had seen enough. They didn't want the blood sport anymore. They wanted to stop it, and they believed in humans. The unknown ship dropped a crate near the humans. Inside, advanced weapons, shields, real armor. The leader picked up a pulse cannon and smiled. "Let's show them what humans can really do." With better gear, the team turned the fight around. The ground shook with every shot. The drones above exploded in the sky. The remaining enemy forces began to fall back. One alien commander screamed, "This is not how it was planned!" But no one could stop it now. The humans weren't playing to win. They were playing to end the game. Meanwhile, in the control room, the silver-eyed Game Master crushed a screen with his hand. "They are changing everything," he growled. "They're turning the show into a rebellion." Another alien shouted, "They must be destroyed," but the silver-eyed one shook his head. "No. If we destroy them now, we lose control. Let the next round break their spirit." He walked to a dark chamber and pressed his hand on the wall. The door slid open. Inside was something ancient. Something even the other aliens feared. "It's time," he whispered, "to release the true challenger." Back in the arena, the human team stood on a hill of broken machines and scorched metal. They were tired, hurt, bleeding, but not broken. Then above them, the sky opened. A beam of red light struck the ground. A new figure stepped forward. alone. Itio. Wasn't part of the army. It was something else, taller, sharper, covered in armor that moved like liquid. No eyes, no mouth, just a deep humming sound, like a warning. The team backed up. The leader looked at it and said just one word, boss level. The air was still. The red-armored figure stood tall in the burning arena. It didn't move. It didn't speak, but everyone could feel the pressure like the air had become heavier. The human team stared at it. One of them whispered, "What is that thing?" The leader didn't answer. He just raised his weapon. Suddenly, the figure vanished. It moved faster than light. The first human was thrown backward into a wall, unconscious. The others scattered, diving behind broken machines. They fired at the figure. Nothing hit. Blasts bent around it. The figure moved like a shadow, untouchable. Then, it stopped again. This time, it spoke, but not with words. Its voice was inside their heads. "You were never meant to pass round 3. You broke the rules. Now I break you." The humans fought back with everything they had. They used explosives, traps, even parts of the arena itself. Still, the figure kept coming. It didn't fight with rage. It fought like it had done this 1,000 times before, and it was bored. Then just when it had the last 2 humans cornered, the ground collapsed beneath them. All 3 fell, but the humans landed on a hidden floor below, deep under the arena, and the figure was gone. Now they looked around. The place was different. Old, dusty, quiet, stone walls instead of metal, symbols on every surface. Strange writing, alien, but familiar somehow. Then they saw it, a giant broken screen, still glowing faintly. On it were files, old recordings, logs, notes. The humans pressed a button, and the screen spoke. "You are not the first. This is not a game. This is a weapon test." The screen showed other species, all brought to this place over hundreds of years. All told it was a game. All studied, some wiped out, others turned into soldiers. The winners never left. They became part of the system, slaves to the arena. The humans backed away. "This is a prison," one whispered, "and we're the next guards if we lose." They searched deeper and found something else, a tunnel, hidden, unused. Inside, skeletons, ancient tech, symbols of Earth, very old Earth, drawn on the walls. One of them gasped. "Humans were here before a year." They activated another recording. A human face appeared, faded, dirty, tired. She spoke slowly. "If you're watching this, they've brought more of us in. They lie. They say it's a game, but it's war, a slow war, one species at a time. I tried to stop it, failed. But maybe you can finish what we started." The screen went dark. Suddenly the tunnel shook. The red-armored figure was back. It had followed them underground. But this time, it wasn't alone. 2 more just like it appeared. Now the team was outnumbered, outgunned, and trapped. The leader looked around and saw something strange. A weapon, half buried under dust. Not alien, human-made. Big, heavy, still glowing. He picked it up. It pulsed in his hands. The others found more weapons near the bones of the last resistance. This wasn't just a tomb, it was a vault. The leader grinned. They brought the wrong species to this place. The red figures charged. The fight began again, but now it was different. The humans didn't just survive. They fought back hard. Blades clashed, guns roared, explosions lit up the underground world. One red figure fell, then another. The last one vanished before it could be destroyed, retreating. The humans stood in the dust, breathing hard, and then a hidden door opened. A tall alien stood there, not a fighter, but a messenger. He bowed his head. "We saw what you did," he said. "We don't want this war anymore. We want to help." The humans stared at him. "You're part of the arena?" one asked. "No," the alien said. "We were once the audience. Now, we're ready to rebel." Above them, alarms sounded. The silver-eyed game master watched from his tower. "They found the old chamber," he said. "They know the truth." Another master whispered, "What now?" He didn't blink. "Now. We unleash the fleet. Let's see if Earth can handle our final round." The sky above the arena turned black, not from clouds but from ships, thousands. They came from behind the moon of the game planet, silent, sharp, and ready for war. Alien warships, shaped like blades, blocked out the stars. Inside the control tower, the silver-eyed master smiled. "They broke the system. Now we break them." He gave the order. "Release the final round." Down below, the humans and the rebel aliens stood in the ancient vault. The rebel looked up. His eyes widened in fear. "They're sending the full fleet," he said. "They've never done this before." The leader didn't flinch. He just spoke 2 words. "Call Earth." Back on the edge of the solar system, a human warship picked up the signal, old code, hidden in the same game signal, but Earth had been waiting. The captain read the message. "Arena compromised. Final round activated, fleet required." He didn't ask questions, he simply said, "Send the armada." Back in the arena sky, the first alien ships began to fire. Giant plasma cannons, energy beams. The entire planet shook. The arena walls exploded. Towers collapsed. The watchers, the audience races, began to flee. The humans and rebel aliens ran through underground tunnels, barely dodging falling debris. They reached an exit and looked up into the sky. It was a battlefield, and Earth hadn't even arrived yet. The rebel handed the leader a device. "This can cloak your signal, you'll survive longer." But the leader shook his head. "No," he said. "Let them see us. Let them know we're still standing." The rebel blinked. "You want to be seen?" The human smiled. "Yes, because help is coming." Just then the clouds tore open. A thunder-like crack split the sky. From deep space the Terran fleet arrived, not sleek, not shiny, but powerful. Black ships shaped like hammers, built for one purpose: war. And they didn't slow down. They entered. The fight like wolves among sheep. The alien fleet tried to resist, but they didn't understand. They had studied human games, puzzles and sports. They never studied human warfare. Within minutes, 10 alien warships were gone, burning in space. The rest began to retreat. On the ground, a message blasted through every frequency, a human voice. "This is Fleet Command. We're here. Hold the line. Take the arena." The human team roared back into battle. Using weapons from the vault, they stormed the towers. The rebels joined them, alien by alien, system by system. They took it all back. Inside the main tower, the silver-eyed master stood alone now. All others had fled or died. He stared at a broken screen. "They ruined it," he whispered. "No," came a voice from behind. It was the leader, covered in dust, holding a weapon. "You ruined it," he said. "We just ended your game." The master tried to speak, but the leader pulled the trigger. End of the game. Outside, the arena burned, but for the first time in history, the fire wasn't for show. It was real. And it was over. The watchers watched no more. They chose sides. Most chose Earth because Earth didn't play games. Earth changed them. The rebel turned to the humans. "What now?" The leader looked at the broken arena. "At home we play for fun, but here you made fun deadly. Now, we rebuild. The human way." Above them, Earth's flag was beamed into the sky, not as a warning, as a promise. Never again. The arena was no longer a stage. It was a battlefield. The smoke had barely cleared from the last fight when the alarm sounded again. But this time, they weren't from the arena. They came from orbit. Something new was entering the system. Earth's warships stood ready. The Terran fleet, still holding strong after the brutal attack, picked up the new signal. The data showed a massive object, bigger than a city, surrounded by its own fleet. Not part of the game, not part of the council. It was something worse. The old masters, the rebel alien, standing beside the human team on the surface, turned pale. "I thought they were a myth," he whispered. The leader frowned. "Who?" "The ones who built the arena. The real ones. They haven't moved for centuries." The ground began to tremble. Now, they had moved. In the sky, a voice thundered across all channels. "You were warned. The game is not yours to end. We are the fire between stars." The alien fleet, the one that had attacked Earth's team earlier, ran. They didn't fight. They just vanished into hyperspace. Even they were afraid. But Earth didn't run. Fleet Command answered with only 2 words. Fire first. The humans on the ground activated signal beacons. Within seconds, air support dropped in, mechs, drones, and armored pods. A new kind of war had begun. Not staged, not judged. Real. From the sky, one of the old master's ships began to descend. It didn't just land, it punched into the planet's crust. Cracking the arena's foundations, buildings fell, alien statues shattered. The game world was dying. But in the middle of the chaos, the human leader stood tall. He looked at his team and said, "Get to the core. If we take the central tower, we shut down their control." The rebel added, "That tower hasn't been touched for 1,000 years. You won't make it." The leader replied, "We don't need to make it, we just need to break it." The team sprinted through fire and broken stone. Mechs dropped behind them, laying down cover fire. Alien rebels followed, shouting war cries. In dozens of languages, a true alliance was forming. Because of Earth. Because of one broken game that turned into a revolution. They reached the central tower. Dark. Silent. At the top, a black crystal pulsed with red light. "That's the control core," said one human. The rebel stared at it. "It controls all games, all arenas, all species brought here." The leader looked up. "Then we end it now." Suddenly, an explosion. The old master's guardian dropped from above. A creature of metal and flame, 4 arms, no face, just heat and hate. It hit the ground like a meteor. The humans opened fire, but the shots bounced off. Nothing worked. Then one rebel, a thin, winged alien, flew straight at it, carrying a human bomb. He didn't stop. He shouted, "For freedom!" and slammed the device into the beast's chest. Boom. The explosion lit up the tower. The guardian dropped, and the humans ran up the stairs before it could rise again. At the top, the leader reached the crystal. It pulsed. It whispered, "We can make you gods. You can rule this place. Just let the game live." The leader stared at it, then crushed it under his boot. Crack. The light vanished. The tower split apart, and far across the stars, other arenas went dark. The system was collapsing. Fleet Command picked up thousands of escape signals. Aliens across the galaxy were breaking free. Slaves, soldiers, fighters, now, rebels. All because humans had refused to play. The sky over the arena turned clear. The giant ship of the old masters began to fall back, slow, silent, stunned. They hadn't expected this. They had expected a challenge, not a rebellion. The rebel looked at the human leader. "You didn't just win. You changed everything." The leader nodded. "We didn't come to fight. We came to end the fire." Behind them, the planet cracked again. The arena was sinking into the earth, but no one looked back. They walked forward, toward the landing, ships toward the stars, toward the next fight, because they knew the war wasn't over. Silence. After the battle, after the fire, after the fall of the arena, the stars were quiet. Too quiet. The humans stood aboard their ship, looking down at what remained of the game world. The once mighty arena was now just ashes and ruins. Towers that once held cameras and cheers were gone. The leader spoke softly. They turned war into a sport. We turned it back into truth. But deep in space, the old masters were not finished. Their broken fleet hovered in the dark, hidden behind a dead star. They watched Earth's fleet. They watched the rebels unite. They hated what they saw. Not fear, not silence. Hope. Hope spreading like wildfire. They couldn't allow that. So they activated the last piece of the arena system. Not a weapon, not a ship, a broadcast. Every screen, every station, every satellite in the galaxy lit up at once. A message appeared in every language. Earth has broken the rules. Earth has brought chaos. Earth must now face the final game. Back on the Terran flagship, the crew watched in silence. A countdown appeared. Hours. Is that a threat? Someone asked. The leader shook his head. No, he said. That's a challenge. Within hours, the galaxy lit up. Thousands of species who once stayed silent now spoke out. Messages flooded in. We stand with Earth. We played their games, we lost everything. Let us fight. The rebellion was no longer a rumor. It was an army. Earth's command called it the Endgame Protocol. Every ship, every rebel, every human fleet gathered in one place. Not to play, to end the game forever. The battlefield was chosen. A neutral zone between stars. There, the masters waited. They brought their oldest machines, their hidden weapons, creatures made of black light and dark matter. They thought fear would stop the humans. But then they heard something. A single human voice, broadcast across all frequencies. Let the final game begin. The battle was nothing like before. It wasn't just lasers or ships. It was belief. Aliens who had once been enemies now fought side by side. Wings and hands, claws and boots working together. Humans showed them how to move fast, how to strike smart, how to fight dirty and win. The masters unleashed their final creature. It was bigger than a moon. A living engine of gravity and fire. One hit from it could destroy a planet. But humans had learned one thing in every battle. No matter how big the monster, it still bleeds. The Terran fleet charged. They sacrificed ships, crashed into weapons, forced the monster back. A human pilot flew straight into the beast's core with a fusion bomb. No fear, no second thoughts, just fire. Boom. The light reached across the stars. When it faded, the monster was gone. The masters were silent. Their ships shut down, one by one, as if they finally understood. They had lost, not to power, not to numbers, but to something they never understood. Human spirit. Earth didn't demand control. They didn't want a crown. They gave the galaxy a choice: build a future or build another arena. The galaxy chose freedom. The rebel worlds rebuilt. The games were banned, the arenas destroyed. And in place of the game network, a new alliance rose. Led not by humans, but inspired by them. In history books across planets, one phrase was carved. In metal, they came to play, but they changed the galaxy. In a quiet corner of the stars, the human leader stood alone, looking at a broken piece of the arena wall. He smiled and whispered, "Next time, play fair."